Hey folks, Coach Danny here from the Online Basketball Academy, and today we are going to be looking at three easy youth basketball plays that you can use for your teams. Now, these specific plays, because we're looking at easy plays for younger teams, for younger athletes, they're going to be pretty simple. It's not going to be a continuous system. It's not going to be anything too crazy. It's not going to be something with multiple elements or multiple steps. We're looking at quick and easy plays that you can kind of introduce to your teams as you start to introduce, plays to them and how to play within a set offense. So these are simple, these are basic, but there's some good plays that you can kind of introduce to your younger teams again as you start to get, more toward an offensive system. First, let's talk about what are our goals with these specific basketball plays. Now, what you're going to see here as I introduce these three plays is that they're not really what you traditionally call basketball plays. If you're looking at an older age group here, you wouldn't really consider this a play. You would consider this basically how to play basketball because they're elements of, basic basketball elements here. And that's what we're going to label as plays. Could they result in an easy basket for a really young age group, like a second grade team, third grade team, or fourth grade team? 100% they could, but they're basic basketball elements. So what we're going to look at here are things like screening, things like passing and cutting and receiving the basketball back, things like screening away from the basketball, these basic basketball elements, and we're going to label those as plays for our younger age group so that we're not just throwing plays at them, a second grade team, third, fourth, or fifth grade team. We're showing them how to call plays, number one, but we're also showing them how to play, which is a great combination and a great way to teach kids. Now, the first thing that we want to teach our teams before, we actually go into the set plays, we want to teach them our spacing on the floor, right? We want to teach them our 5 spots, in a 5-out motion offense. Yes, from there you can, set up your different plays and stuff like that, but they have to start with the basics. Young athletes, they have to understand the basics. They have to understand how to space the floor and how to position themselves before they can go into, a real play. Right. So what we're going to go over here real quick first before we go into the specific plays is what we want to teach them in terms of spacing, right? And here we are, we're teaching them our 5 different spots on the floor, our basic kind of 5-out offense. Here we have, 2 players on one side of the floor and 2 players on the other. And, but again, this is just something that we want to teach before we go into our set plays. Make sure that they have, some sort of an understanding of the spots that they need to fill before, they go into their set plays. Do they need to understand a 5-out perfectly right away with these younger age groups? No. It's again, we want to understand this is how you space the floor, right? So if your offense is kind of getting stagnant and it's not really moving too much, then we want to preach to the athletes to get back in your spots, right? Go back into, a 5-out if needed. But now let's take a look at some specific plays that we can use once they understand this spacing, once they understand how to line up on the floor. Now, the first play that I will typically teach a young team, who are learning to, understand how to set a play is our basic, most popular play probably used in basketball because it's incorporated into just about, almost every play. It's our pick and roll, right? We want to start off by teaching them something small. We want to, introduce new concepts almost every day to them. And for that, we're going to start with an easy one, something that they should understand when it comes to basketball, and that is the pick and roll. There are a lot of drills that you can do when it comes to teaching a pick and roll. So you can incorporate that into your practices pretty easily. We'll go over some drills in a separate video on how you can teach the pick and roll, but it is a very easy offense to kind of teach as your first initial play, your first introduction to an offensive set. Now, if we're looking at really young teams, second graders, third graders, fourth graders, fifth graders, this is all that they really need to know. Right? They're not going to be setting up, complicated drills and stuff like that. When you're looking at second graders, third graders, and fourth graders, a lot of coaches tend to just teach those kids 3v3 to teach them how to play the game. So even if you're going that route, even if you're going in that direction, you can still incorporate this basic pick and roll play, right? So what I'll often do, if I'm, teaching a young team, I'll show them footage, I'll show them film of, a point guard in the NBA or in college basketball setting up an offensive set, calling out an offensive set, and I'll basically, teach them how to do a pick and roll, but make them feel like it's something bigger than, what it actually is. I'll kind of teach them to run a set. So I'll often have a point guard call out, a play name or a play number. So we're looking at 1, right? Play number 1. And all we'll basically do here is just teach that basic pick and roll. And when, that athlete hears number 1 or whatever you're going to name that pick and roll play, whatever code name you're going to give it, right? The athletes go into an easy pick and roll, right? What I'll often do is just get one of the players in one pass away here, number 2 or number 3, right, to go up and set that screen for the ball handler, right? We'll have number 1 coming off that screen. If you're looking at younger age groups, you're probably going to get a direct lane to the basket, and you'll have number 2 roll there as well. It is just a great basic play to, number 1, introduce to your kids, a concept of basketball that they're going to need to know. But number 2, it's something easy that you can help, teach them when it comes to calling out their first play. And it can be used in a 4 out, 1 in, obviously, if you want to, have your post player maybe around the key setting that screen, or it can be used within a 5 out or, a 3-on-3, whatever you are using, to teach your kids, the game at a younger age. The next thing here that we want to teach our young teams is something called a give and go, right? And basically what we're going to do here with this give and go is we're going to give the ball to somebody and then we're going to go, right? We're going to pass and then we're going to cut. And this is something you'll eventually see in a 5-out motion offense. But again, this is teaching your kids a basic concept, right? What we want to do here and what we're looking at here is teaching multiple basic concepts, before we go into a full out offense. Again, this is for younger age groups. This is for, a 2nd grade team, 3rd grade team, 4th grade team. How can we incorporate, bits and pieces of a 5-out offense or, bits and pieces of, well-known basketball plays into one little fraction of a basketball play? And that's what we're going to do right here. So if we look at our clipboard, the first step of this is we want to teach our wing players, again, 1 pass away, right? A lot of the stuff that we focus on tends to be 1 pass away. And, a lot of times when you're dealing with younger age groups, that's the case. And that is why you see, so many younger teams actually use the 3-on-3 system to teach their younger kids the different aspects of the offensive game. But again, we're going to focus on the pass here, 1 pass away. These 2 players, number 2 and number 3, with number 1 having the ball. And what we want number 2 and number 3 to do is we want to teach them to cut. So we're going to have them cut in the key and come out a little V-shaped cut here. Same thing with number 3, cut in the key and come out, right? And that's going to teach them to get open. That's going to teach them to not just stand still for the basketball, right? So we're going to have, again, number 2, cut in and come out. Number 3, cut in and come out. Okay, as that's happening, number 1, the point guard here, they're going to pick one of these wings, one of these players 2 passes away to pass the basketball to, right? Let's say right now they pass the ball over to number 2. So number 1 just gave the ball to number 2. So now what number 1 is going to do is go. They just gave and now they're going to go. So number 1 is going to cut hard to the basket and look for the basketball with their hands up, giving a clear target to receive the basketball. So number 1 is cutting, looking for the basketball, and hopefully number 2 can get number 1 the basketball, and then we can drive to the rim here for an easy layup. Again, this is great because it teaches a lot of basic concepts. It teaches, 3 players here how to cut. It teaches these folks how to cut off of the basketball, right? How do I get open by cutting? And it teaches number 1 to, after I pass the ball, to never stand still, but to cut hard to the basket. Right? It is a basic basketball play, a basic basketball concept. But if you brand this as a play to a younger age group, right, your give and go, if you brand that as a play, right, it's going to also help them learn how to run basketball plays. So you're basically getting the full package here by running this one. All right, folks, I need to quickly stop right there before we move into our next topic to mention that right now, 97.1% of our daily viewers are not subscribed to our channel. So that means if you are one of these people, if you are one of these 97.1% who are not currently subscribed but are watching this video, it would be greatly appreciated if you could take the time real quick to hit that subscribe button. It will help us continue to make content like this, continue to make basketball plays for other coaches, basketball drills for other players, and basketball, everything that both players and coaches and organizations alike can use. So again, if you could really quickly take the time to hit that subscribe button, it'll just take 2 seconds. It would be greatly appreciated. But moving on to our next topic. Now, the next thing that we're going to teach here is that same give and go style play, except for this one to start it, instead of having the one pass away wings cut in and out of the key, what we're going to have them do instead is down screen for our two players down at the bottom of the floor. So this is kind of that same concept where we're teaching little different bits of our 5-out continuous motion offense. We're teaching little bits of, essential basketball elements here, but we're labeling them as plays. So again, we're teaching our kids to call plays, but we're also teaching our kids how to play, right? So what we're going to do right now is to start this one, we're going to use that same give and go concept, but we're going to start it with two down screens, right? So the person one pass away, they're going to come down here and screen, right, for the player two passes away. And that player is going to come off the screen and take the spot up here, right? One pass away. So 4 is coming up to the top of the floor, 5 is coming up to the top of the floor. And basically what that did was just got our defenders moving a little bit. Now from there, number 4 is going to be open. They're coming off a screen. Number 5 is going to be open. They're coming off a screen. We're going to run that same give and go style play, right? Now we're going to cut through the key, right? Look for the basketball. Hopefully number 1 can get it here. Maybe we can get the ball back into number 1's hands, right? So it's that same kind of concept of the give and go, right? But instead of we're starting with 2 cuts into the key and out, no, for this one, we're starting with 2 down screens to teach our players how to screen off of the ball. All right, folks, that is all we have for today's particular topic. If you made it this far into today's lesson, it is greatly appreciated. Now, if you guys could also do me a huge favor and like this video and subscribe to our channel, it would also be greatly appreciated. We are the Online Basketball Academy. My name is Coach Danny, and I continuously upload different basketball plays, basketball systems, basketball tactics, and basketball drills that youth basketball players or training basketball players can use or basketball coaches can use with their players and their teams. Like I said, folks, if you could take the time to like this video and subscribe to our channel so I can continue to make this type of content for you all, that would be greatly appreciated. Till next time, peace out.